cooking channel on YouTube, which I am starting today. We are today making a triple chocolate cheesecake. So I have here in my food processor, I have crumbed together 20 Oreos and 5 tablespoons of butter. And now we are placing them in the bottom of an 8-inch pan. And you can either use a spoon or you can use the back of a cup and just lightly press down in the pan. And that comes out, and you can either smooth it off with I like to use a spoon, kind of smoothens it down a bit. And also, first make sure you have your oven. You're going to put it in your oven that has been preheated to 350. My oven's a little, gets a little hot, so I tend to lower my temperature a bit. So for me, I have to put it in at 275. So once we get the crust all down in there and get it nice and smooth, and we're going to bake this in the oven for about 9 minutes. And there we have is our crust. So hi everyone, we are still making our cheesecake in your standing mixer fitted with your paddle attachment. Here you're going to beat the cream cheese and the sugar until it's smooth and creamy. So you want to start it off on low. I usually start it off on low. And I'll increase the speed. I usually increase the speed up a little bit. I have it this way, and then I increase it to about 4. And you also can use your rubber spatula which is good because you want to scrape off some of the stuff off of your mixer and the sides of your bowl here so that you get all the sugar and everything is incorporated, because that's very important, because you don't want it to be grainy. So we're gonna scrape down our sides of our mixing bowl there and mix it up again. I tend to put it on a little higher speed. I have it on about 4, which is medium on my mixer. And that's going to come out really nice and smooth and creamy. So as you see, it's very smooth here. Very smooth. It's got a beautiful texture there in the mixer. And then we're going to add we're going to add a cup of sour cream. So this one, it's about 8 ounces here. We're going to add the whole thing. This is going to give it a nice, very light, creamy texture to your cheesecake. Most of you don't know that, you can add sour cream, or you can even add plain yogurt too. I like sour cream. I'm going to add that, and we're going for this one, we're going to be adding a tablespoon of vanilla extract. You can even also add also, which is good, is vanilla paste, which I've used in the past. That is really good stuff too. Very thick, very rich, and just really delicious, in my opinion. So we're going to mix this up until it's very smooth and well blended and creamy. So that there's no, comes out really nice. We're going to make sure for this that we also scrape down the sides of our bowl again, because we do have some of that sour cream still on the sides of our bowl there. I'm going to scrape this off as well. Give it a nice good mix. You don't want to overmix anything, but you want it to have a very nice silky texture. Which it's going to look like, this is what it's going to look like, and it's very silky texture. And then we're going to add 3 large eggs, and we're going to add 1 in at a time, and you just want to have them just until they're incorporated. So 1 at a time, and we're going to mix it on a lower speed. I do about 2 on my KitchenAid standing mixer. So you just want it just until, you might have, see this one, I have a little on the side, so I'm just going to get that mixed in there. So that one's incorporated. And then we're going to add the next one just until each one is incorporated. So there we have all 3 eggs in the cheesecake. So everything is beautiful. We have a nice, beautiful, shiny texture. And now for one of my favorite parts of this recipe is adding in the melted chocolate. Yes. So we're gonna pour that in. Now I used the Lindt chocolate 70% bars, and they are 3.5 ounces each, so I used 3 of them. So we have in here about 10.5 ounces of chocolate. This is going to be a really chocolatey cheesecake. We're going to mix this in first, and then we're going to be adding lots of chocolate to this. This is my very triple chocolate cheesecake, which we're also going to be making with a chocolate ganache and a chocolate whipped cream using the same Lindt 70% chocolate. So we're going to mix that up. This is the same chocolate I use when I make my chocolate mousse. 70%. It's we have that in there. Just make sure you scrape down the sides of your bowl. Really good to get all of that chocolate and everything incorporated into your mix, your filling. We got a nice mix. So that's got a nice mix, and then we're going to add, which I love, this is one of my favorites to bake with, Valrhona baking cocoa. So with this, we are going to add a 1/2 cup of Valrhona 100% baking cocoa. Now this is going to give a really nice, rich, dark flavor to your cheesecake, but it's actually not going to be, you might think it's going to be dark, but it's got a very rich taste, which I love. And it doesn't have like a bitter taste, because sometimes, like, if you use too much of things, you can get a bitter taste, but Valrhona doesn't do that. Also, another good brand I have is Drost. That's good. And also, if you can't get Valrhona or Drost where you are, you can also get Hershey's Special Dark Chocolate Cocoa, which is now all Dutch processed cocoa, which I love, which is so great. Ooh, little splatter there. So you put it on low, and you're going to get a beautiful, darker, like a little bit darker, rich texture to your cheesecake. And I don't have any, as I said, no tin foil, so I'm going to, this is from my 9x13 pan, so I'm going to be using that to tent it for the first half hour. So usually I set my timer for 30 minutes, and then we will okay, I gotta pull my oven out. This is very heavy. It gets pretty heavy in there, so better to pull out your oven a little bit before you get it in there. And the best thing too for a cheesecake is to put it in a roasting pan with your water bath. That works the best. I had to change my shirt. Had a little chocolate accident. This is our cheesecake, which we are now going to top with a chocolate ganache that I made. I microwaved a 1/4 cup of heavy cream and used a 1/2 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. And now we're going to ganache the top of our cheesecake. So where I left off from making the cheesecake, we had put it in the oven for a whole hour. So for the first half hour, I tented the cheesecake. You can put like a piece of tin foil. I used the bottom of a springform pan. I ran out of tin foil. And you also want to make it into a water bath by putting tin foil on the bottom of your springform pan and wrapping it around the edges there. And So for the first half hour, I tent it, and then I take off my top, and it gives it a nice finish. There's no brown on top of your cheesecake. It's less browning. And then second half hour without the tent. And then you're going to leave it in the oven. You're going to turn off your oven, and you're going to leave it in for a whole hour in the oven. It will be a little jiggly. So you'll have a little jiggle in your cheesecake, but that's what you want. And then you're going to take it out and you're going to let it cool completely. So I let it cool for about 2 hours. And you're still going to be leaving it in your springform pan. And then you put it in the fridge for 4 hours to overnight. So, yes. So we had it in there overnight. So you're here, and we're going to ganache our cheesecake. And we're going to start with going around the edges so that we get a nice little drip down the sides of the cheesecake. Give us a nice little drip down the sides. Just use the rest and smooth it around on the top of the cheesecake. Make it nice and smooth. There, and then you can let it get a little bit more drip. There we go. Not very good at ganaching very well when it comes to dripping colder things, but the cheesecake was in the fridge, but hoping I did a good enough job here. This is my first video, so we shall see. Our ganache strip. We did okay. I think it's pretty much okay. A little off, but tried my best. So there you have it. A nice triple chocolate cheesecake. Thank you for watching if you are watching my video. This is our finished product. Delicious. Very good. Hopefully it's very good. Well, I can't say that, but